listening to Late Night Radio on the SHR Media Network. Caution, there will be mature themes explored and potentially adult language used. If conservatarian words, phrases, certain concepts, or rhetoric offends you, tune out now.
Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. The only way they can inherit the freedom we have known is if we fight for it, protect it, defend it, and then hand it to them with the well-taught lessons of how they in their lifetime must do the same. And if you and I don't do this, then you and I may well spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it once was like in America when men were free.
I have come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubble.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it is Halloween. It is October the 31st, the year of our Lord 2024. And I say to you, I bid welcome to you here at BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. Live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network, where I am broadcasting in an actual free state. Every time the kids come to the door, the dogs bark. You may hear some dogs barking in the background. I am BZ. I am your Conservative Sherpa. I am guiding you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. All of them, their specialty. Please note, what you're about to hear tonight consists of my opinion and my opinion only, and those of my guests. Another great guest tonight, Alan Thomas. He was here Tuesday night. The act you've known for all these years. I am doing the job the American media maggots won't. I am fundamentally changing America one leftist diaper at a time. And because you're in the saloon. And I frequently say this. We don't water our drinks just like we don't water our conversations. We are still serving stiff drinks in the saloon, along with facts, history, logic, rationality, proportion, context, tradition, and common sense for normal people. So, politics, religion, crime, culture, economics, race, sex, science, law, we do in fact talk about it all here in the saloon, where the speech is free, where the booze is not. We are streaming live on Rumble. We are striving? We could be striving if we were striving to be striving. That's a story for another day. But we're streaming live on the SHR Media YouTube channel, X, Twitch, formerly known as Twitter, and also on Rumble. And I'm watching Rumble, and I'm watching YouTube. And welcome and thanks to everyone who is here tonight. This is Alan Thomas, and Alan Thomas happens to be, he's Alan Thomas. There is no one else who can be Alan Thomas. He is of the Squatch Zone. Good evening. Oh, wait. Hello? Is it on? Yeah, it's on. Wait a minute. But that's right. We can also hear you as well. So anyway, that's Alan Thomas. I'm BZ. BZ, Alan Thomas, BZ. Shake hands and come out fighting. Now, I've said this any number of times. I'm going to start out this way. Well, first, let's do some programming notes. I'll get to this. This coming Monday night on SHR, myself and Sean and Jersey Joe, we're going to do a Get Out the Vote show. And it's going to be starting at 5 p.m. Pacific on Monday night. A little bit we do usually Tuesdays, and then Sean and Jersey Joe do Monday nights. We'll all be together. Not in the same room, of course, and not in the same bathtub, of course. But we will be trying to motivate everyone to get out and vote. It's going to be starting, as I indicated, at 5 p.m. Pacific. and 8 p.m. Eastern. And we would like you to be here. And then, of course, beyond that, see if I can show you this. This is that's our Get Out, the Get Out and Vote show. And then also, I want to remind everybody that we will have election night coverage. This is the place to be because we have got so many people coming in. This is Tuesday night. Now that's going to be starting at 4 p.m. Pacific, at 7 p.m. Eastern. And it's going to be myself and Sackhead Sean, Jersey Joe. We've got also some great people coming in as adjunct communicators and reporters. We have Lonnie Poindexter, Jeff Dunitz, and Earl Jackson, and they will all be weighing in for about probably 10 minutes, an hour. And also, we're going to be having the KLRN staff coming in as well. And we can't wait for that to occur. Election night coverage, great commentary. I have an opinion as to where I think things should go. Of course. Yeah. I don't hear any dogs barking right now, though. So we must not have anybody at the door.
The good stuff.
Which, yeah. Well, we all have good stuff. You know, you guys all have favorite candies. So when you buy candy and you have a lot of kids that come to your door, do you get the stuff you really like, or do you get the stuff that you think kids really like? We end up getting the stuff that we really like because it turns out invariably we don't have nearly as many people and as many kids coming to the door as we think. The interesting thing about here being in an actual free state in North Idaho is, and it's raining right now, of course, so that has probably tamped down the number of people doing trick or treats right now. But the parents will stand back on the sidewalk and the little cute kids will come up and you'll hand them the bowl, and each kid that we've found sticks a hand into the bowl and pulls out one thing, one item, and starts to turn around and leave. And I say, oh, no. Come on back. Grab a handful of whatever is in there. And they're shocked, I tell you. They're gobsmacked that we allow them to go in and get as much stuff as we allow them to. Because we invariably, like I say, we're going to be left with a lot of candy left over. Maybe you're in a place that there's just a ton of kids. We're not in that kind of area. So in chat, in YouTube chat, we have Squatch Zone, Bolt Gun, and thanks for being here. And Squatch Zone is always in, or I should say is in Rumble right now. By the way, Squatch Zone, that happens to be this guy right there.
Yes.
That is Alan Thomas. And he has his own YouTube channel, Squatch Zone. If you would, tell us a little bit about Squatch Zone.
Well, Squatch Zone. Is it on? Am I on? Hello?
Yeah, why am I not hearing you?
I think she turned me off on there. I don't know. I think maybe I unplugged it. I hear static.
Okay. Try that now.
Hello.
There we go.
There we are.
Much better.
Yeah, so the Squatch Zone, it started as Bigfoot because I saw a Bigfoot and I saw another Bigfoot, and I talked to a lot of people that saw Bigfoot, and I went looking for Bigfoot. So everything was Bigfoot, Squatch. And then along the way, I met people that were abducted, seen UFOs, haunted houses, demon possessed people, and it kind of blossomed. And here lately, I went back to my old hobby that I love, was making leather goods, and kind of like this kind of cool thing that I'm holding my tablet with.
Very nice.
Yeah, all handmade, all everything.
Very nice.
And so now I'm going to be doing videos of leather, doing leather, and showing people how to do leather, and talking, chatting, having fun. So that's what we're going to do on. And I thought about changing the name, but I'm going to leave it Squatch Zone. It's going to be the anything zone, but Squatch is going to be my most talked about thing. But that's where I'm at. And right now I'm here in the BZ's Bobcat Saloon, and I'm having a great day.
Well, you certainly are. And
eating a lot of candy.
Well, there's a ton to consume right now at this point. The first hour, how I kind of have this structured a little bit is the first hour, we're going to be talking about politics, that kind of thing in general. A lot of stuff is going on. We're going to be talking about the election. We're going to be talking about getting out to go vote. Then in the second hour, the theme of the show is something similar to, do you sense it? Do you sense that something else is coming? Do you sense that there's like another shoe that's about to drop? And that's kind of what I was thinking. And Alan and I were talking and have been talking about this for some time, that there's something off, and there are a number of reasons for this, and Alan and I will go into it. It's like there's something in the air, like some kind of a weird vibration, a feeling, kind of an electric current running through things right now, kind of raising do you feel sometimes like the hairs on your arm are being raised? There's just something that's off. Are your Spidey senses activated? Because mine certainly are. And we're talking about not just the election. The election is a separate issue unto itself. We're going to have big problems with that. And I honestly don't know. I want to talk about going out to vote here in just a moment, but I'm talking about absent the election. Let's just put that aside for a moment in the second hour. And we're going to be talking about, it's like, I get the feeling there's another shoe about to drop. Where, when, what will it be? One thing, a series of things. Many people can't verbalize it. We're going to try to see if maybe we can, but we're with you in terms of there's just something very strange going on right now. And you can combine it with the election if you want to. Certainly that's part and parcel of it, but that's not everything. There's so much more that's going on that is kind of making people, there's something weird in the air, and we can't exactly put our fingers on it. And we're going to try to. Alan Thomas and I are going to try to do that tonight. And until, I'm going to say this tonight, I'm going to say it Monday night, and then we're going to get into the whole election on Tuesday. Basically be there as long as it takes to find out what in the hell is going to happen. So I am convinced there's not going to be a red wave. There's not going to be a red tsunami. Every conservative, every Republican, every individual who actually wants to save this nation, is concerned about this nation, has to show up to the polls. Vote early. Ensure if your area allows you to vote early, vote early. Ensure that your opinions and your thoughts are heard by going to the polls. Embrace the ballot, because as I've said, every vote counts. Now, here in my county, tomorrow, Friday, is the last day that you can do early voting. That's just in my county, in my state. Yours might be different. Look it up. Be familiar with your election laws. But here's how you have to work these things. You got to vote like President Trump is down at least 20 points, because there are many who say he's going to not just lose this, he's going to lose this badly. And as numerous people have stolen from me, including Donald Trump Jr., thank you very much. I appreciate that, Trump Jr. You got to vote like the chains on the ramp of Noah's Ark are starting to get pulled by everybody inside. The last pair of monkeys are walking up this big wooden ramp. You're the third monkey, and brother, it is starting to rain. That is how you have to view getting out and voting. You have to vote like it's your very freedom and liberty that's on the ballot. Your family's freedom and liberty. That of your kids, your grandkids, their kids, their freedom and liberty is on the ballot. Literally, it literally is. Democrats and leftists, make no mistake, they want you to stay home for one of these two reasons. It's because, stay home. The polls close at about 8, I think, in most every state. And if you haven't made it to the polls, they're going to tell you stay home because Harris is so far ahead that no matter what you do, your vote won't mean a thing. Your puny little stinking garbage vote. So just go ahead and stay home, you moron. Or they're going to tell you Harris is so far behind. Oh my God. She's being crushed by Trump. Whether they believe it or not, that's what they might say. And your vote isn't necessary because that would be unfair. That would be like piling on, and you certainly wouldn't want to do that. But the goal of one of those two things is uncontestable. The goal is to have you stay home and let the 8 o'clock, the polls are closed, and then you're saying, well, my vote wouldn't have counted at all anyway. So it really wasn't very important. Your vote counts. Every vote counts. And I'm going to continue to say this as well. It's how old I am. My 1960s civics teacher, Mr. Helms, said the only thing that I remembered basically from junior high school, which is Democrats don't win elections, Republicans lose them. I emphasize, this is our election to lose. We can have it. We can get this election, but there's only one caveat, the most important caveat ever. We absolutely must not, we cannot afford to lose, because we'll lose this country. And the actual Americans, like you and me, will be lost. Our freedoms are at stake. So please, no matter what you hear from anyone, election day, turn off your TV and look at SHR. Come here to SHR Media, and we'll give you all the updates necessary from a lot of really great people, as I indicated before. Don't stay home. You cannot afford to. Please get out and vote, because as I say, every vote counts. Every vote counts. Now, as before, I've indicated that I did a 3-hour show, for example, that FEMA is not a first responder. They're not a second or a third responder. They're a pretty crappy fourth responder. You're on your own in a crisis. And the government is not here to help you. If it's the Harris-Biden regime, they despise actual Americans. And I had a show for 3 hours 2 weeks ago showing video after video after video from survivors of Hurricane Helene and Hurricane Milton. And FEMA predominantly wasn't around. $750. Sure, I can get that if you're not refused. Frequently, many were. But I want to play this for you to indicate perhaps just how wonderful FEMA is. Actual Americans predominantly can go to hell. They have to get in line. You have to get in line behind illegal invaders, behind Ukraine. Here's a lineman that represents many linemen in North Carolina who threw a little bit of a strike themselves after not getting paid for 8 weeks by FEMA. How long would you work at your job if you couldn't feed your family? Because the government has to understand, and people have to understand, that these are regular folks too. They need support in order to be able to help others. And this is what the government has decided that they're going to do to them.
Everything that they promised us, that they said they would come through with, nothing is being done. Well, the contract states that we would be paid next day, meaning that 14 days after our first invoice, we would start getting paid. So that means for everybody that was here from the 7th to the 13th, that should have been paid this Monday or Tuesday. We should have some type of money. We should have some type of per diem. They didn't pay it. They asked for another requirement stating, well, we need to use these codes and this has to be used. So we did that yesterday. We got that completed. We sent that in. Now they say, oh, well, from the 7th to the 13th, it's really such a mess. Why can't we just pay from the 13th?
Do you understand what's going on here? This isn't about helping people. This is about, oh, you didn't fill in the right form.
And we're like, no, you're not gonna skip us on paying us for a week when we've been here for almost 8 weeks working every single day. It's nonstop. It's anywhere from 12 to 18 hours a day. We don't shower. I mean, most of us are tired. We just want to sleep. You know, and now we're gonna get the sleep that we're due. But I'm not gonna allow every single person here to look in this parking lot. They came for me. They came for my name. Everyone knows that my name goes with integrity. It goes. I mean, my motto is integrity is the benchmark for success. So everybody trusted me on my word. So when they think that I'm the one that's not doing it for them. So I called the news. I told everyone here to call the news. Everyone will sit there and verify that I told them to all call the news, to stand together, to put your buckets up in the air, to put up a stand, and that we will not move forward. We will not lift a finger until the money is sent to us and we can pay and take care of our families. Because our families have been waiting for 8 weeks. How many of you have missed paying your mortgage? How many of you have missed paying what you have to pay to take care of your family? But yet we're here. We still continue to work every single day. We've been working how many more extra days? 3 now? But they promised us pay. Did we get a single penny? No! Has anybody got a single penny in their
Okay, let me stop right here. These are regular Americans that have sacrificed their time and their families to help out others. And they came from other states, other areas. These are people they don't know, and they're sacrificing for the people in all these other states. Specifically here, it happens to be in North Carolina. The government is not doing it for these people. Now, if you don't get a check for a week after saying that you're going to come and travel here to help people, okay, I get that. Initial chaos. If you don't get a check for 2 weeks, well, okay, that's a little tougher, but I'm still going to stick it out. If you don't get a check for 3 weeks or 4 weeks, now would you work, no matter how gracious and wonderful you are, you still have families to support at home, and you're not getting any support from your federal government, and yet the federal government still manages to support and send big checks to Ukraine and support illegal invaders. But they can't help you help the survivors of 2 terrible hurricanes. That's your federal government at work. That's a reminder that you need to see and hear. And I have, of course, my standard stuff up now. Let's talk about this.
The bloviating Zeppelins, HeyJackass.com Chicago death toll update. Courtesy of every leftist running that city. From the mayor, police chief, and every autocrat in the 50 wards.
Because we all need to be like Chicago, the city of big shoulders. This is from HeyJackass.com. HeyJackass.com, illustrating Chicago values. October to date, shot and killed 48, shot and wounded 190, total shot 238, total homicides 51. Week in progress, October the 27th to November the 2nd. Shot and killed 2, shot and wounded 21, total shot 23, total homicides 2. The year to date, shot and killed 463, shot and wounded 2,171. Hey, look, we still have 2 months left in the year. Total shot 2,634, total homicides 522. That's from HeyJackass.com, illustrating Chicago values.
The bloviating Zeppelins, HeyJackass.com Chicago death toll update. Courtesy of every leftist running that city. From the mayor, police chief, and every autocrat in the 50 wards.
Because that city is run so well. And I told everybody, and I mean it, that today, actually, this is the last show I think I'm probably going to be able to do this. You want to know what Kamala Harris believes? Here you go. Her values haven't changed.
Yes.
The Boston Marathon bomber. They should be able to vote.
I think we should have that conversation.
Abolish ICE.
Yeah.
Would you ban offshore drilling?
Yes, I'm in favor of banning fracking. I am prepared to pass a Green New Deal.
I support a mandatory buyback program. We're not going to treat people who are undocumented cross borders criminals. The idea that more police equals more safety, that's just wrong.
Policing, as we know, goes all the way back to slave patrols and that idea.
Yeah, you are absolutely right.
Where do you stand on defund the police?
We need to take a look at these budgets.
Do you ban plastic straws?
I think we should.
70 to 80% tax rate.
I think that's fantastic.
Chipping now to the Minnesota Freedom Fund.
How dare we speak Merry Christmas? Yeah, I am radical. I do believe that we need to get radical about what we are doing.
She's failed. She's a failure. She's an abject failure. And of course, she wasn't a border czar or czaress, was she? Of course not.
Czar.
Meantime, Vice President and border czar Kamala Harris facing some backlash.
What he said about Harris and immigration was not true. She was never appointed border czar.
And this will be her first visit to the U.S.-Mexico border region since she was appointed as the border czar by President Biden.
People are going to have to counter the misinformation. You already hear folks talking about the border czar. She wasn't the border czar.
President Biden tapped Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, to be the border czar.
Now, she wasn't the border czar. That's what Republicans labeled her.
They were very critical of Kamala Harris, especially in her role as border.
I like to point out that the people saying this, oh, yes, she's the border czar, are in fact the American media maggots. Glorious.
Czar.
Now what she's up against is folks lying about her border record, calling her a border czar.
Kamala Harris, who was appointed as the border czar.
The Biden team didn't declare her the border czar. They wanted her to work on kind of the root causes of immigration.
There has been so much criticism against Kamala Harris. You know, she was the border czar.
Calling her sort of the border czar, which wasn't necessarily the case.
Quote unquote border.
No, of course, she wasn't any of those things. Yes, she was. She was the border czar. No, she wasn't. Don't think that. Don't say that. Say the American media maggots. Imagine that. Oh, I almost forgot. We have to go to this now, too.
It's time for happy stories and good times.
Here's a happy story. This is great. This is, in fact, a huge win. A judge in Arizona orders Arizona's Democrat Secretary of State to release a list of 218,000 registered voters who did not provide proof of citizenship. Uh-oh, I thought we wanted everybody to vote if we wanted dirty, fraudulent, corrupt elections. Well, that door got slammed in a face. Let's go here. Also, this is a happy story. This is from the Epoch Times. Judge denies request to grant nearly 1,900 South Carolina voter registrations to 17-year-olds. Wait, can 17-year-olds vote? A judge has denied a request by the ACLU of South Carolina to compel South Carolina's Department of Motor Vehicles and the State Election Commission to reopen voter registration in the state and add thousands of eligible 17-year-olds to the voter rolls ahead of the upcoming presidential election. Now, the ruling issued 25th, so apparently 17-year-olds can vote in South Carolina. But the ruling by Judge Daniel Coble of the Richland County Court of Common Pleas was handed down in response to a lawsuit brought by the ACLU, which sought emergency relief to correct what it argued was a systemic error. Now, South Carolina does, in fact, allow 17-year-olds who return 18 by election day to be added to voter rolls. But then the judge said, no, those 1,900 South Carolina early voters, early registrants, that's not going to work real well. That's not going to work well for us. This is also a happy story. Because anytime I see anything going against the American media maggots, I have to say I enjoy it. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, I was the American media maggots. I used to work for KFBK, and I used to work occasionally for KOVR, and I also used to work for the Sacramento Bee. All of those things were owned by McClatchy at one time, Eleanor McClatchy and her family. So I know from whence I speak because I have a little bit of history in that. This is from Fox News. TV executive panics that Trump winning means the press has no influence. Oh, now, sadly, if the press has no influence, that would be bad, wouldn't it? Bad. Look, I have a producer. Some in the news industry are sounding the alarm that the prospects of another election victory for President Trump, even with one even predicting the death of the legacy media. You know, the people whose job it is to lie to you every day. Now, a report in New York Magazine's Intelligencer, because leftists are intelligent, and you're garbage, and you're Hitler, and you're a Nazi, but leftists and Democrats are intelligent, so that's why they have the Intelligencer. So this article put a spotlight on the sheer panic. It's like when I read things like that, I'm like Chief Dan George. My heart soars like an eagle when I see that stuff, largely focusing on the turmoil erupting at the Washington Post after its billionaire owner Jeff Bezos halted the paper's endorsement of Vice President Kamala Harris. Well, wait just for a second. Let me emphasize one thing emphatically with a bit of emphasis. Does anybody remember that the LA Times about a week or two ago also refused to endorse one candidate or the other? And also the dock workers refused to back a candidate, one or the other. I find that most interesting. Let us continue. More broadly, one network executive told feature writer Charlotte Klein, oh, by the way, at the LA Times, the chief editor at the LA Times, because they refused historically to embrace and endorse the leftist, the chief editor at the LA Times exited stage left. Imagine that. That's a happy story in and of itself. So one network executive said, quote, it's going to change everything if Trump wins. The exec said it could signify the complete failure of the news industry. Well, gosharoo, the news industry itself is a massive failure. Here's another happy story. I don't go here, but I let other people do it for me. Now, do I truly believe a lot of things? I don't believe that there's going to be a red tsunami. I don't believe that there's going to be a red wave. When other people say something similar, fine. Go ahead and say whatever you wish. But occasionally some people say, well, pollster Frank Luntz says President Biden may have lost Kamala Harris in his election and says essentially that his garbage comment is huge. That it's like this, are you good garbage or are you a Nazi? So which one are you? Are you a good garbage or are you bad garbage? That's why Tuesday, it's important to take out the garbage on November 5th. But Frank Luntz said, well, Trump did the proper thing, and he seized on this. Frank?
His comments seemingly describing Trump supporters as, quote, garbage. The Harris campaign is trying to downplay the effect of those comments. Of course they are. But I wonder if you think that those comments are going to move voters.
It's going to be huge because this is not some comedian.
Huge. It's going to be huge. Now, a reference to the comedian was some comedian at a recent Trump rally said something about Puerto Ricans. I should care to interject this at this point, by the way. Hey, look, a massive pro-Trump caravan has formed in Puerto Rico. Sorry, American media maggots. Puerto Ricans aren't falling for your games and for your lies. Frank?
Saying something stupid and offensive at a rally where he should have been basically disinvited. This is the president of the United States endorsing his vice president, saying something. And I know that there's different interpretations about what he said. It's still inappropriate. He still should be doing it. And I've watched Trump already seize this.
The basket of deplorables was significant, was meaningful in 2016. In 2024, I can promise you that this is going to drive Trump turnout. He's doing it already. I can see, I'm sure there's going to be ads on as soon as tonight about this. This may be a turning point for those final 3%, and that's all it is, who still need to be persuaded.
That's true. Well, I have to ask you a logical question then. Are you persuaded? A lot of things have been persuading me. That's certainly one of them. Here's something. We're going to go into voter stuff. I'm not going to do this just yet. But we will take out the garbage. That's pissed us off. You're good garbage? What kind of garbage are you? And of course, you're all fascists. You're all racists. This motivated me. I already voted. I voted early. Tomorrow's the last day for me to vote in my area. What about you? Have you checked to see when you can early vote, if you can early vote? Because I think, quite frankly, there's going to be a ton of people, luckily, clotting up the polls on Tuesday from the moment they open in my area for early voting every day, because I spoke to some of the poll workers that are in there. They said 8 a.m. because that's when it opens. People are lining up and they're out the door. By the way, during the day around here, it's been about 40 degrees. And the later on in the day it gets, the colder it gets. People are lining up out the door. A poll worker told me about 3 days ago, people were out the door, through the parking lot, on the sidewalk, and out to another street to vote early. Tomorrow's going to be a big day, a very big day. And election night is going to be a huge night. And that's when I want, and that's why I want everybody here. I think that's that is in fact a happy story. Here's another happy story, but not so much if you happen to live in California. Californians, bend over. You're about to have your sphincters widened, shall we say. This is from Fox News. California lawmakers slam Ivory Tower State Energy Politburo as an estimated 65-cent gas price hike looms. Let me stop here for just a moment and ask my generous guest, who is Alan Thomas, who happens to live in California. Do you know, sir, what the price of gas roughly is in your area at this point?
I'm actually a little bit depressed when I drive down the road here, and it's like $2.93 a gallon.
That's what it is.
And when I left home, it was for regular, cheap regular. Now, something else here. It doesn't matter what brand you get here. You can get Mobile or Shell or Cheapo, El Cheapo gas. It's all the same. It's all $2.93.
Which is very strange.
Yeah. Hey, where I'm at, the El Cheapo gas station is $4.95. And then when you go to the other gas station, it's $4.15, right? You go to the name brand Mobile or yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous. You can't even get 5 gallons for $20.
Well, and folks, you voted for this in California. So you're getting predominantly what you voted for. So a top California Republican lambasted the prospect of a 65-cent per gallon hike in gas prices next month, accusing the state's Energy Resources Board of being wealthy and out of touch with the working class. Imagine that. So you're paying some of the highest rates for fuel right now anywhere in the nation. And then next month, you're going to be paying the highest prices, the greatest amount of taxes for fuel again in the entire nation. Oh my gosh, I missed my break at the bottom of the hour. That's okay, because I'm going to run out of time for the politics, because at the top of the hour, Alan Thomas and I are going to talk about the strange things that we think may be coming. But we're going to do politics for right now. And I have
remember back when California put a ballot on, and it was vote no or vote yes if you don't want gas taxes, vote no if you do want gas taxes. Remember, like that, like they did a weird thing.
The purpose and intentional confusing of voters. You could either say yes, you could either say no. I know, let's reverse it.
Yeah, and everyone passed a gas tax. They voted no. They don't want a gas tax, but they voted wrong.
But that meant yes.
It sure did.
No meant yes.
Yeah.
Well, does yes mean no? Does no mean yes? I have a new department and a new video to show you.
Leftists are dangerously insane. Courtesy of BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show and the SHR Media Network.
Here's a leftist. Here's what insanity looks like.
I am trigender, which means like a triangle, I have 3 genders: male, female, and non-binary. And the difference between trigender and gender fluid is that I feel all 3 of these genders at the same time. All the time. It doesn't ever shift or change, or where I feel one gender more strongly than the other. Gender fluid tends to be. Also, I should recognize and accept that a lot of people don't see non-binary as a third gender. They see it as something completely separate from the binary of male and female. But for me, it's like a third gender. Or I guess you could call it a third identity. How I feel gender-wise is like a man, like a woman, and as neither at the same time. I am trigender, which means like a tri.
Okay, let me take this weird unit off the screen. What we have is this. Let me state unequivocally. That's a chick. This is a mentally defective chick. Someone needs to take this unit back to the original issuing factory and demand a refund.
Well, she's definitely like, what was that one? CSI? She's definitely not CSI, right?
No, she's not a crime scene investigator. That much we do know.
A CSI, isn't that what they call it? CSI gender?
Cisgender.
Yes, cis. There we go.
Yeah.
CIS.
Which is another word for, normal people like you and me. Here's something, oh gosh, did we ever say at any amount of time, in any point of time, that the Democrats censor? Well, here is Kamala Harris, an investigation into how the Harris-Walz campaign is manipulating social media sites to artificially boost their popularity. Here's the headline. I just want you to know this stuff is occurring. This is going on. I want to open everyone's eyes in order for you to see to whom you should vote come, if you haven't already, this next Tuesday. Block community notes we don't like. Harris campaign caught red-handed manipulating X to censor criticism. The goal is to artificially manufacture consensus by making pro-Kamala Harris messages on social media appear more popular than they are, and it's often done in violation of the terms of service of the social media platforms. My guess would be, do they get eliminated? No. Not like conservatives? No. Not like libertarians? No. Not like Republicans. But this is here to make sure that you understand this has happened, it is happening now, and it will continue to happen. And this is why you need to go out to vote, because this is what one man, a vegetable, Joe Vegetable in particular, happens to think of a full 50% of the population of the United States. He said it, he meant it, every word, no matter how you try to fix or repair anything that he said, this is what he said.
Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people.
Okay, stop. Did you see? Did you hear his almost mistake? He said, in Puerto Rico, and he almost said, where I'm from. Listen to what he almost said, because it's true. Listen.
Or Puerto Rico, where I'm in my home state of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization is seen as unconscionable.
So you're garbage. If you're a supporter of Donald Trump, I repeat, You're garbage. Well, this is the guy who actually should be fitted with a muzzle so he can't bite babies. If you haven't seen that video, that is in fact something to behold. You pieces of garbage. Tuesday, let's do this. I think that's what we ought to be doing. What do I have? Oh, I got 13 more minutes. Also, Biden is the gentleman, I use that word loosely, who said this.
It's a long way until November. We got more questions.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black, and you ain't black, and you ain't black, and you ain't black.
Hi, Americans. How do you like that? Specifically, Black Americans, African Americans. If you don't vote for Biden, you ain't black. Hey, Trump supporters, he hates you. You're garbage. Black Americans, if you don't vote for Harris, that's what he meant, and him, you're not black. Well, that's a message that's coming across well, isn't it? I'm not exactly sure. And I think I've got enough time to go into all the crap that's happening already in terms of elections. Jesse Waters.
Today in Georgia, a judge ruled that election officials have to certify results, even if voter fraud is suspected. And around the state, Democrats are suing to prevent drop box surveillance, hand counting ballots, and voter ID protections. Why are Democrats trying to make elections less secure?
I know.
Especially while many states across the country are finding thousands of people who aren't citizens on the voter rolls, like in Virginia, where Governor Youngkin removed more than 6,000 non-citizens from the rolls. The Biden-Harris administration didn't like that. The Justice Department is now suing Virginia for cleaning up the voter rolls.
How can you do something that would possibly interfere with our interference with the election? You're cleaning up the voter rolls, which is doing the right thing, is interfering with our election interference and our fraud. But wait, as BZ is wont to say, there's more. Here's an ABC station. These are the American media maggots that I mentioned before. Here's an ABC station who declared election results saying Harris was the winner of a key free state. It's not even election day yet. And these are the people you want to trust? An ABC station ignited a flurry of conspiracy theories after it aired what appeared to be official election results for Pennsylvania that showed Kamala Harris easily winning the key swing vote state more than a week before Election Day. How does this happen? I know how it happens. It happens because the American media maggots want it to happen. It's no more difficult than that. Listen very carefully. Watch very carefully to this. This is clear election interference. These are voters in Kentucky on a voting machine. And this is clear indication that if you want to vote for Trump on this machine in Kentucky, you can't do it. Well, what does it roll over to? It rolls over to Kamala Harris. 14 seconds of truth hit it. Went to Harris. Now, that's just one machine. That's somebody who has some balls to take a phone into a voting booth, which is, people frown on that kind of thing, but documented what actually occurred. The fraud is here. The interference is here. It will only get bigger. Let me continue. Now, here's an individual named Jocelyn Benson, the Michigan Secretary of State, who says that there is, this is a quote, a nationwide issue with Dominion voter access terminals preventing voters from making certain selections. Did I not just document that for you? Let's watch.
Yes. Why was that only caught in the past few days, and why can't it be fixed? I saw the release.
Yeah, this is a nationwide issue with Dominion voter access terminals in the counties that use them. And the voter access terminals, of course, not all the machines, just the ones that are accessible, have an issue with the straight party voting and a programming issue that's, again, affected the machines nationwide. And I think all of us that use Dominion machines were unhappy to learn about this during the testing period and as early voting began. So we're working with Dominion to seek accountability on that front, and also are working with our clerks to ensure voters are aware of this programming issue that will require them to ensure they are voting every section on the ballot.
Okay, stop here just for a second. Okay, so voters are aware. If you're a voter, are you aware now? Did you see what happened on video? Did you see and hear what she just said? Well, now that you're aware, what are you going to do about it as a voter? Well, you're going to try to vote for the person that you want. Will that be accomplished? On that machine in Kentucky, clear video evidence, you won't be able to do that. Election interference, election fraud. There can be no mistake about that. So you have to ask yourself, why is it customarily that these things occur to the benefit of Democrats, but seldom, if ever, to the benefit of Republicans or conservatives? Here's another example. Bellevue is in Washington, a leftist state, a blue state, I should say. She received 16 ballots addressed to her apartment number with different names. King County Elections Office has daily calls with the U.S. Postal Service, so they told King 5 they will bring up the topic to them immediately. Cheating, ballot stuffing. Let's continue. Oh my, here's an interesting person. I got about 6 minutes left to the top of the break, which I want to hit. This is Colorado Secretary of State Jenna Griswold. Not apparently that I know of the Griswolds, Clark Griswold, the family in the station wagon. So Secretary of State Jenna Griswold in Colorado accidentally posted passwords for Colorado voting systems online. These passwords were apparently available for a whole bunch of months and are tied to active voting systems. Take it away.
Passwords for Colorado's voting systems were posted online for anyone to see for months, if you knew where to look. Democratic Secretary of State Jenna Griswold's office apparently posted them online by accident. Griswold's office found out last Thursday and had not told the county clerks who actually run elections. Then the Colorado Republican Party went public today, demanding that Griswold secure those voting machines. Here's Marshall Zellinger.
Wait. Secure the voting machines. Let's not be hasty about this. There's eminent cheating to be made. And why would we want to actually do anything about that? Continue.
Colorado Secretary of State's office is required to maintain a spreadsheet of certain
I'm sorry about the volume. It's up as high as I can get it. Those things happen.
certified voting systems for each county. That's this list. At the bottom of any spreadsheet, you can have multiple tabs. You can also hide a tab. But if you post the raw spreadsheet to a public website, apparently anyone can also unhide the tab. This happened and apparently revealed one set of passwords for voting computers in Colorado. Next confirmed this with the Secretary of State's office today, but we learned about it this morning in an email blast from the Colorado Republican Party. The passwords had been up for months without it being known. And so
Okay, stop here just for a second. Stop. Like Mikhail. Wait. They knew the passwords were revealed. Did they say anything about it? No, Colorado's a blue state. She's a Democrat. How did they get that information out? Because the Republican Party blew the door off the cheating. Well, wait a minute. She tried to cover up then, that's the lovely Colorado Secretary of State, Jenna Griswold, tried to cover up how her office leaked passwords for voting systems until the Republicans called her out. And also, by the way, I should remind everybody, this is the same person who sent voter registration mailers to 30,000 non-citizens in Colorado, messaged voters to vote after they had already voted, and let's go back in the Wayback Machine just a little bit, also tried to remove Donald John Trump, OMB, Orange Man Bad, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head, tried to remove him from the ballot wholesale. Let's chat about that just for a moment.
Secretary Griswold told me today that she had not decided whether to tell you, the public, about that password leak before she got called out on it publicly today. I asked Secretary Griswold whether she takes responsibility for this election security breach in the same way that she has held others accountable.
Sure.
And we discussed a string of errors by her office that can damage voter confidence.
To be very clear, we do not see this as a full security threat to the state. This is not a security threat.
You do frequent media interviews warning of the insider threats to elections. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security defines an insider threat as somebody who uses authorized access wittingly or unwittingly to do harm. Did the actions of your office pose an insider threat to elections?
No.
In 2021, when Mesa County's voting system passwords leaked, your office said, quote, the public disclosure of the BIOS pass.
No, I'm not responsible. No one is responsible. If I'm a Democrat, no one is responsible. I got a question for you before we go to the break. Why is it that all the nutcases on the Democrat Party look like this? They all like AOC. They all have the googly eyes. What's the dealio with the googly eyes?
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Come listen to BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show. Live on select and exclusive Tuesday and Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Central, and 8 p.m. Pacific on the SHR Media Rumble channel, SHR Media YouTube channel, X, Twitch, Spreaker, and wherever great conservative podcasts are found. BZ, your conservative Sherpa, guides you through the maelstrom of Democrat, leftist, and globalist lies, chaos, deceit, and betrayal. Raised as a free-range child with dirt, stains, mud, and freedom, BZ broadcasts from North Idaho, comfortably surrounded by actual normal people. Jump into our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room on rumble.com. Click on live chat to join. Now, with 37% more umbrage and 19% more bulbosity than previous shows, featuring delicious Liberty additives for the best in late-night Conservatarian talk radio. BZ reminds you that with great beard comes great responsibility. No chinchillas were harmed, embarrassed, fat-shamed, or the focus of any sarcasm whatsoever in the making of this ad.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
Hey fellas, are you mission ready? Coming in November to SHR Media. By way of Big E Jackson, you need to check out Mission Ready Men. It's a show that equips you to navigate our society's challenges from a biblical perspective. with courage and conviction. Tune into Mission Ready Men as we examine our culture through the prism of biblical truths, teachings, and how to apply them in our daily lives. Prepare to step up, stand out, and step into your role as a man, as ordained by God. That's Mission Ready Men, hosted by Earl Jackson, coming this November on the SHR Media Network. And get mission ready.
Want to make an immediate difference in the life of a critically ill child? You have the ability to do that right now. Make a donation to Dream Makers for Life, the organization that restores dreams to seriously ill children and their families. You can sponsor a dream pack for a child, which contains a clear PVC backpack, a dry erase board adventure coloring book, a journal, and dry erase markers to inspire a critically ill child to envision a future adventure and hope. Want to become a dream maker for life yourself? Go to dreamforlife.org. That's dreamforlife.org. Help a child. Help a family. There is always hope.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, I'm BZ. We're back. It's about 3 minutes after 9 on the left coast. I'm not on the coast itself, but I am in Pacific time, which means it's about 11:03 Central, and that also means it's about 12:03. It's tomorrow, today, on the East Coast, meaning Halloween, that's already over. Done, gone. Sorry, you missed Halloween. And I'm BZ, and here is Alan Thomas. Alan Thomas, welcome to you, sir.
Good evening in my best vampire voice.
Good evening. ISO dates, they soothe the throat. In my best ISO dates vampire voice, which I cultivated when I was a young child. So now we're going to transition over into an area that I bet many people are just feeling uncomfortable right now. There's a lot of chaos going on. There's a lot of discomfort going on. And it's impacting people on so many different levels. It's impacting people on a physical level, on a mental level, on just about every level that you can think of. And I thought, since Alan Thomas is here, he's on a little bit of a 2-week vacation. He still has at least another week to go because he's only been here since last Sunday, and we're going to do some cool stuff while he is here. I thought that since he's here and he's in the studio, I would get some opinions from Alan about the overall feeling of what's occurring these days. And a long time ago, I think it was probably 2010, right around in there, I have a blog that I've been writing since 2004 called it's at bloviatingzeppelin.net. And in this before, I don't talk about religion all that much. We'll be addressing religion tonight and a host of other things because of this discomfort that everybody feels. I mean, I feel it. I know Alan does. We've spoken about this. There's just like this strange vibration thing, an electric current. Like I said, the hair on your arms is standing up. There's something off here. You know, I used to call it my Spidey senses when I was a cop. If my Spidey senses activated, I had them. It meant my radar was working and something bad was about to happen. And I bet there's a ton of you that are feeling like that. But maybe you're not interested or not motivated to talk about them, because if you did, about how uncomfortable you are on multiple levels, people would think you're a nut. Because, of course, you're uncomfortable. Everything, the inflation has zoomed out of control. Nobody can afford to get groceries. Inflation is cutting into your overhead. People are worried about where their next meal is coming from. People are wondering if they'll be able to pay the mortgage, the rent, all of that. That's bad enough. Then you've got the elections. No matter who you're for, everything is upside down. As I say, I am your conservative Sherpa because I'm here to deal with the deceit, the lies, the chaos that's occurring in our daily lives. And my attempt is to try to guide everybody through. So Alan Thomas and I are going to do a bit of an off-the-cuff kind of thing. I want to start with something that I don't really talk about. And I haven't really talked about much in the past. I call myself a Christian, but I'm also a massive contrarian. I have various conflicts. I wrote this post a number of years ago, and I called it The Politics of God. And I asked people in this post, where do you hold God? Do you hold God in church or in your heart? My answer back then and now was in my heart. The issue has come above, and I've kind of avoided addressing that for a number of years because I view religion as personal. And I have said on a number of occasions that I am a Christian, but I don't speak about it, and I don't write about it, and I don't go out and proselytize. I'm of the opinion that a relationship between me and God is private, and it involves me and God and no one else. I'm not it should be no shock. I'm not a joiner. I'm not a joiner of churches. My life doesn't revolve, nor has it ever revolved around the approval by humans of me. I'm more impressed if my dogs like me, and my dogs happen to like me. Part and parcel of it is that I feed them, but my dogs, even when they're not being fed, they still love me. To me, that's important. I am by nature a loner. I have very few friends. I can probably count them on one hand, on all the fingers. Alan Thomas is one. I don't really have one close individual who I can call a friend here in my new state. I may get one. It depends. I'm just that kind of a cranky individual. I used to call another sergeant that was as cranky as me sometimes, and it would make the other deputies laugh because I'd call him Sergeant Cranky Pants, or I'd call him Sergeant Grumble Crotch, but actually I was probably labeling myself more than anybody else. I have a lot of acquaintances. That is true. My wife probably is my bestest, closest friend, amongst other roles. But the thing that I emphasize, and I'm not changing, is I don't believe in man. I believe in God. I had a show probably 3 years ago where I asked a bunch of pastors, is man inherently good by birth, by nature? I don't think so. I don't believe so. I think that's something that has to be learned. I don't require the approval of people in a group. I never have. I try to be a better man, but I fail miserably at that many times. I see day after day the fallibility of man and the supremacy of God. There was an instance, for example, when I worked at EVOC, the Emergency Vehicle Operations course, and I've only referred to this a couple of times. While I was working there, the supervisor at EVOC for the sheriff's department Somebody dug with a backhoe what eventually became a pond. And the point was, we had water that was draining from the skid pan, and somebody said, let's make a pond and we can have lunch around it. Well, we did. We made a little dam. The water still ran off, but it backed up water. And then we started to get weeds. And then we started to get rushes. And then we started to get tules. And then we started to get, it started to become a stop off for birds. And then every season it became a stop off for geese and ducks. And then we attracted snakes. And then there were frogs and life. And then one day somebody went down to the pond and said, did you know we have little teeny fish in the pond? Well, it's not like they stuck out their little fish thumb and said, hey, let's go from Pasadena to Sacramento County and go into this little pond that was just made. Where the hell did we get fish? No one inserted them. I asked everybody that was working there at the time. So that's nature. To me, that's a blessing from God. How else did something like that occur? And others, I'm sure, would have many other responses to that. This is going to be heresy, and I will speak it anyway. I don't hold the Bible as the ultimate word of God, because the Bible is rife with the base motivations of man. Now, am I saying that the word of God is not in the Bible? I'm not making that allegation. What I am saying is that man influenced the books that went into the Bible. The Bible is rife with base motivations of man, to include greed, envy, pride, power, and the politics, the existing politics of a few thousand years ago. The Bible was vetted, for example, by what was called the Council of Nicaea. And man determined what went into the Bible. And if that didn't comport with the politics of the time, there are certain books that were not involved and were not allowed to go into the Bible. Man made that determination. The Bible was vetted by that council, and like any other gathering of men, there were political ramifications of what got into the Bible and what was excluded, what books were included, what thoughts were not de rigueur for the day. We can't broach certain things. We cannot talk about certain things. Those were not included. So, and that doesn't even factor into the sometimes very poor historical memory of man himself over the generations, tales handed down through the ages by those not of firsthand view or influence. So to see these frequently incredibly petty views of man merely emphasizes my view of God. And what I say is, I'll take God any day. I don't believe in man. Man is not God. Thankfully, God is not man. Sunni versus Shiite, Catholic versus Protestant. It's all immaterial and pointless to me. The church, if you want to belong, literally, God bless you. If you believe in man, God bless you. But the reason that I'm coming up with this and making a preface like this is that I'm going to let Alan take off and tell you about the things that he believes he's seeing and hearing and thinking about this uncomfortable feeling that so many of us have right now. And again, I repeat, not just the election. Not just the election. My God isn't better than your God unless you want to kill me or convert me. That will not happen. Organized religion has kind of taught me one thing. It's corruptive, and it confuses the essential core values and the meaning of worshiping God, because man, being fallible, gets caught up in the trappings of man himself and forgets the overarching picture. That's again why I'm not a big believer in organized religion. I mean, if you want to worship your God wherever you are, I don't think, in my opinion, it takes a church to do it. Now, if people like to go to church, fabulous, outstanding, do it. These are simply my opinions. If you enjoy going to church and the concomitant internal struggles, each church, each building has its own politics in every religion. This is good, that guy's bad, my views are better than him or her or anybody else. So I don't believe in man, I believe in God. And now, again, people may excoriate me for this. These are my opinions. These are my thoughts or feelings. And now I hope to have Alan Thomas, for the 45 or so minutes remaining, talk about and address some of the issues about why are we feeling this? Why now? What are these times? Are these times indicating something to us? Is timing important? Why does it seem, true or not, whether you're a believer or not, why does it appear or seem to be that there's so much discomfort and violence and hate and discontent right now? These are all questions that I have customarily asked myself late at night, because I'm not a big guy for introspection. I should be, but that's because I'm flawed and I'm not perfect. And the only being that is God. Am I going to heaven? I'm not even resting assured that that's going to happen, because I have been a very bad boy over the years. And I've done some non-Christian like things. Or you're a Christian, you must do all of these. I'm not saying that I am perfect. I'm flawed like everybody else. The first thing that I'm here to admit, I'm a sinner. Will I be saved? I got no idea. But I still feel that fundamental, that uneasy feeling that many of you do right now. And maybe some of you or many of you are going, I'm going to tune you guys out right now, because this is something I don't want to think about, or you guys are nuts because you're talking religion. But whether you feel that way or not, I'm telling you, inside, whether you're going to verbalize it or think about it, you still feel that way. You feel that something is off right now. Something stinks. And maybe you can't put your finger on it. Maybe you don't want to think about it. Maybe you're going to just tune us off right now. That's okay. That's cool. That's your free speech. Kill me. Move on to something else. Balance your checkbook. Go clean your fish tank. But I'm telling you, tons of people are like me and like Alan. Many, if you're feeling that, are feeling the same way. Alan Thomas, would you weigh in, please?
Sure. Like, it's really important too, because really everyone is feeling, and it is even pervasive in the politics. That, like, while you're listening to the back and forth, you can feel it in the politics. Like, for me now, just to let everybody know, I'm not affiliated with the church. I don't go to church. I did way back, but I found that some of those guys were worse than me, and I was pretty bad. You know, like, I'm with BZ. I'm the same way. I'm flawed, did a lot of bad things. Luckily, we were created that way, and then when we admit it, then, you know, we can be forgiven of it if we forgive. If we're forgiving, we're judged by how we be judged, and we're forgiven how we forgive. So it's not really hard to make it to heaven. But that said, I died and went on the other side. And really, I was really confused, before that, I thought I knew what I was talking about, and I thought I knew what the other side was like, and I thought I knew that about everything. You know what I mean? You know how you get where you think you know what's you got the gist of it, and you know what's going on. I had no clue. But when I got on the other side and I realized all the things that we think are important here, they're not important there. It's all a matter of the heart over there. So it isn't a matter of what you did here or what you do or how you act. It's more of a heart issue. Like, he looks at your heart. So if you really want to be worried, worry about how your heart is, so that you can fix a lot of things by fixing your heart. Now, to the thing about that feeling that's permeating everything, even the politics, is we're out of time. That's what it is. We are out of time. There's no time left. No matter how you look at it, it doesn't matter if you look at the Bible, it doesn't matter. We're out of time. We're at the end. Like, I believe that the word of God is in the Bible. And if you read the Bible and you talk with God, you start a relationship with him. And I know that sounds almost impossible, but it starts out just like talking to anyone. You can talk to him any way you want, as long as you're talking to him. He will reveal himself to you if you're looking. And he'll let you know that where you're at with him, and let you know at what time you're in. And then you'll also be able to look at other people and what they're doing in their relationship and what they're saying, and you'll feel it in your spirit, what's going on. And that's what we're all feeling. We're feeling it in our spirit right now. Our spirit, our spidey sense, that's what's cluing us in to what's going on. We're at the end of time. No matter how you figure it, we're at the end. And the Bible is really specific about these things, and it spells it out in detail, called prophecy. Now, that's an easy thing to check, because down through the ages, in the 6,000 years, there's 7,000 years in prophecy, 7,000 years, starting from Adam. And then the last of the 7,000th year will be Jesus. Starting on the last 7,000 year, Jesus is going to come on the earth and set up his kingdom, and we all will be with him in that kingdom, without politics, without sickness, without disease, right? And you could read about this. You can also look back in history at prophecy of when Jesus was supposed to walk on the earth. He would be here on the earth, 600 and something prophecies. Guess what? He was here. He lived. He walked on the earth. He died, and then he took his body with him up to heaven. You can check all this, right? So now, if all these things I'm talking about, and there's much, much, much more, if it's true, then where are we in time? Where are we? So if all this stuff happened, where are we in this 7,000 year story? Jesus came for sure, for real. There's no Jesus body anywhere, no bones, no dust. At the end of 4,000 years. By our own calendar, we are 2024, right? After death. 2024 after death. So we know we're approximately 2,000 years after Jesus walked the earth, and we know that he was at the end of the 4,000 years in a 7,000 year week, or what the Bible calls a week. And each 1,000 years is a day. So Jesus was on the fourth day. We're 2,000 at the end of the fourth day. We are 2,000 years. We are at the end of the sixth day. Now, how do we know for sure with the end of the sixth day? The Bible says to look for signs in the heavens. That'll tell you. One of the biggest signs to tell you to look into the heavens to see if you're in that time, the first signpost would be Israel becoming a nation. Guess what? 1948. They became a nation. So now he says in his word, that generation that sees Israel become a nation will not pass. They will not die before he returns. In 2028, I think it is, something like that, that's 80 years. How long is a generation? Okay, so I don't know. I don't know what a generation is for sure, like by the day, but I know what time we're in, right? I know that we were 2,000 years past Jesus' death, putting us at the end of the 6,000. I know Israel became a nation in 1948, and we are now coming up on 80 years. Now, when I look into this, I find what happens in the 6,000 years in this story, what happens at the end of 6,000 years. Well, that's when the Antichrist comes on. That's when all the nations are warring. That's when the earth is going crazy. Is that happening? That's when the constellations will be lining up in certain signs that it spells out in Revelation. And we have already seen it twice since 2017. It only happened one other time in history, and that's when Jesus walked the earth. Right before he came, that sign in the heavens happened. Never happened before, never happened since. That constellation lineup was saying Jesus is coming on the earth, and he came on the earth. And you can check this with your computer and online by science. It's there. In the last couple of years, that sign that says Jesus is coming lined up twice. It lined up this month.
And with that, we're going to stop just for a moment. We're going to go to a break because maybe some of you need to go to the electric winkle chamber. If you look below, you can see the phone lines are open. If you would like to talk to myself and or specifically to Alan Thomas about anything regarding this, you can call us. I'm going to leave that Chiron rolling below. You can call us at 916-835-3329. 916-835-3329. We're going to be going on a break. Do what you need to do. Come right back. I'm BZ. We'll be going to our last half hour, our last segment. Thank you for watching and listening.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Edge of Liberty. Join me right here on the SHR Media Network every Monday and Friday, 12 on the Pacific, 3 on the East Coast. On this show, we'll discuss news, politics, the government, how cranky we are about the government, and more. If you want to hear hard talk, good interviews, sarcasm, bad jokes, and oh God, that really is me in a nutshell. Either way, check me out right here on the Edge of Liberty every Monday and Friday, 12 Pacific, 3 on the East, on the SHR Media Network.
Freedom. One nation in all of human history was built on that bedrock. Ours. A republic of the people, by the people, and for the people. Self-government requires freedom, just as freedom requires an individual willingness to self-govern. Freedom has made America exceptional, but it can only last as long as you and I seek the good, as expressed by the laws of nature and nature's God. It can only last if you and I choose to act as people of character. Forging character has been the pursuit of Hillsdale College since 1844.
Are you looking for a way to boldly express your faith and love for your country? Then check out Seven Armors, the premier apparel company for patriotic men of God, where faith meets freedom in style. Our t-shirts are more than just clothing, they're statements. Bold, stylish, and meaningful. From timeless messages to modern designs, we've got something for every patriotic man of God. Wear your beliefs proudly with Seven Armors gear. Don't miss the chance to wear your faith and freedom on your sleeve. Visit 7armors.com today and join the movement. That's the number 7armors.com. 7armors.com. Faithful, vigilant, steadfast, passion.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
I am BZ. I am your conservative Sherpa, and I am guiding you through the maelstrom of Democrats, leftists, and globalist influence who are doing nothing but essentially bringing you chaos, lies, and betrayal. And it is through that I am saying, thank you for being here tonight. I'm here with Alan Thomas, and our original point of doing this show, I do politics. That's my gig. That's my job. I do politics. That's what I do. But along with the election, and there's a time and a place for the election, and if you've been watching the first hour, I told you all about it, what I think you need to do. Get out and vote. It's no more complicated than that. But then in the promo for the show, we're all feeling unsettled. There's something else going on. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. But again, I'm not the greatest person in the world in terms of introspection or self-analysis. I kind of lack in that department. That's just my nature. That's who I am. Am I going above or below? I don't know for sure. Am I a sinner? I know that much. Do I call myself a Christian? Yes, I do. Do I believe in God? Yes, I do. Do I believe in man? Not in the slightest. Not in the slightest. But again, I wanted to have Alan Thomas here so that he can go over and continue. We can continue this discussion about why are we feeling unsettled? What's going on? And you led us into this. And I'd like you to continue. And folks, if you have the temerity and the guts, the phone lines are open. If you're feeling like this, verbalize it. I'm allowing you to do this. Please do so. If we hear bad words, you're going to have to hang up on yourself. If you're interested, though, 916-835-3329. If you're watching, the number will continue to scroll along the bottom. If you want to say something similar, or if you want to say, no, I'm not feeling this, and I don't know why. I'm feeling just peachy nifty. Or if you think that maybe there's something to this. I can't put my finger on it. I don't know exactly what it is, but no bueno. The stuff that's going on right now needs a solution. Maybe it's in the elections, but it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that. Alan Thomas, please continue.
Well, just a recap, we're at the end of time. That's where we're at. And I was talking about the constellations lining up when Jesus was on the earth. It only happened once. And that was a sign that was to tell people that he was coming. And that's the three wise men were seeing that. And they actually found him as a baby. He was like 2 or 3 years old when they actually found him. They didn't happen onto him when he was a little bitty baby. Well, those signs are happening today, and more of them. Blood moons lining up on Jewish feast days, all solar activity, all kinds of stuff, the earth, everything. Okay, so if we're at the end of 6,000 years around the sixth day, what happens next? What happens when we go in? Like, if we're so close to the seventh day, what is the seventh day? Like, what are we getting ready to see? We're getting ready to see the close of the sixth day, or the sixth the thousandth year in the 6,000 years. That means that we're going to see all those things that you've been watching movies about, you know, the rapture, the tribulation, the Antichrist, and it only is for 7 years. So we're somewhere near there. And if you look in, I'm not going to tell you what day, I don't know. All I know is your Spidey senses are telling you we're at the end of this time. We don't have any time left. There was a prophecy that a pope did like 1400 years ago that he was saying there was going to be a last pope. If you go research that online, you'll find out we have the last pope right now. So I'm not just talking about Bible stuff. There's things called onas. Every 500 years, the red dragon and the white dragon fight.
Okay, now what is onus and how would you spell that? That if people are interested in figuring out what onus is,
I can't remember how you spell
O-N-U-S?
It's something like that.
Okay,
or ona, O-O-N-A, I don't know, or O-N-A-H. I'm not sure. What it is 50-year cycles, 50-year cycles of what the Bible calls jubilees. It's another way of timing, right? Of finding where you're at, timing. We are, and the dragons fight on these 500-year cycles. And you can go back in history. You can go on the net. You can look this up. The red dragon, the white dragon, King Arthur, Merlin, all of them, they were all about the dragons. China's a dragon. Go into it. Dragons, they're everywhere. Well, this year, guess what this year is? The year of the dragon. We're at the last ona of a 500-year, 50-year cycles. We're now in that last ona, at the last ona of a 500-year ona. So we're on the last one. It ended today. October 31st was the last day of the ona. I actually think something's going to happen because in history, when you searched out this ona thing, either the white dragon takes control or the red dragon takes control. If you're under a red dragon, it's brutal for people. If you're under the white dragon, the governments and everything you have great time, right? When the red dragon's bad, the white dragon's good. Plus, we're also at the year of the door. In another way of figuring things, we're at the year of the door. Who's the door? Jesus. He says, I'm the door. Anyone who calls on him and goes through him, you go through the door. Everything I'm telling you, you can research. Everything I'm telling you can look in the Bible, in Revelation, and you will see what you're seeing on TV play out. So if you want to know what that feeling is, that's what it is. That's what I think it is.
Let me ask you a question. I'm not a biblical scholar in the slightest. I began to take a Bible class when I first got here. And that having been said, just because of all sorts of issues that are occurring with me these days, I can't concentrate. I used to be able to read books like crazy. My concentration is dwindling. It's going away. But some of the things that I recall about revelation, not revelations, plural, but revelation in the book of the Bible, is that many people think that it's terrible, it's evil, only bad things are going to happen under revelation. And then other people have said, wait, not so quick. It's not all bad. Some bad things are going to happen, but it will bring around some good things as well. So, Alan Thomas, can you tell us a little bit about Revelation? Is it all bad? Are we all going to die? What's going on?
Okay.
I don't have the wherewithal to be able to speak to that, but I believe that you do.
Where we are, and in Revelation, is we're at the beginning of the 7-year tribulation. Okay. So at the beginning of the 7-year tribulation, which is the last 7 years of this 1,000-year day called the 6th day going into the 7th day. The 7th day is going to be all Jesus. That's all in Revelation. Okay. The 7th year is all Jesus, no wars, no world government, one world government. So what in this little last 7-year thing that we're coming up on, because we know where we are in time, is going to be a one world government. But it's not going to be bad at the first 3.5 years. There's going to be a guy that comes on the scene that the Bible calls the Antichrist. But you have to get away from the narrative, what the TV and the Christians and everybody's telling you. He is Christ-like. Get it? And when you hear Antichrist and you listen to the news and everybody on TV, you're scared of that guy. 666. Oh, he's evil. He's bringing destruction. He does. But in the first 3.5 years of this 7 years, he brings prosperity. He solves all the financial crisis. He brings peace to the whole world. No wars. So there's going to be this time of 3.5 years that this guy, that everyone in the world is going to be calling for him. I have a theory. I catch a lot of flack for it, but there's only one guy right now on Earth that fits everything of the description of this guy, and his name it's DJT, right? The one that we're all supposedly wanting to vote for right now, or not vote for. He fits it like a T. I'm telling you, like, if you research Trump, he's supposed to have royal bloodline. He went on, when he was in office, he went on the capitulation tour, and every country capitulated to him. Not only that, he went to North Korea. He's the only man on Earth, probably, that walked across the DMZ with Little Rocket Man. He walked in front of the Queen of England. He went to Saudi Arabia and they gave him the sacred sword that nobody but family of the royal family of Saudi Arabia could hold. They let Donald Trump have it. Like, okay, so who is this guy, right? I'm not saying that's him. I'm saying this guy fits. Now, if he is the guy in the scheme of the timing again, that means we're about to step into that 7 years. So if it's the beginning of the 7 years, we're right at that door. There's this thing that's supposed to happen called a rapture. In this rapture, people that believe in Jesus, I'm not saying church people, okay? Not church people. People that believe in God, that know Jesus walked the earth, and you admit it because you know he did, right? I mean, the church and man, like BZ said, man has polluted the ideas of how it's to be saved. And it really wasn't man. It's the guy that's going to get in on Donald Trump or whoever the Antichrist is at the middle of the 7-year tribulation. This guy's going to get killed with a head wound, be in the streets for 3 days like Jesus was in the tomb 3 days. The devil is going to inhabit his body and he's going to be raised up. Then all hell on earth is going to happen for the last 3.5 years until Jesus steps back on the scene, bringing all of us that have died before us, the ones that got changed in the rapture, the ones that got their head cut off in the tribulation. He'll end it all. And then we go into the 7th, the day of rest, like the Sabbath year, right? There's 7 days in a week. The 7th day is the Sabbath. This is a 7,000-year week. Each week day is 1,000 years. We're at the 6th day of this week, going into the 7th day of the week.
Okay, let me ask you this question. Let me ask you some pointed question, because again, admittedly, I'm no Bible scholar and I have not read much about this. I know history in general, just enough to be dangerous. So is the speculation that Donald Trump might be the Antichrist? In other words, who would be the Antichrist and what is the purpose of the Antichrist? That's the first question. I have more, but let's start there. Are you indicating that Donald Trump might be the Antichrist? And if so, why? Or could it be somebody else?
Well, when I first realized there was a Jesus and a God, I wasn't raised in church. I was a hellion, man, alcoholic, in and out of jail. I mean, like, really, how I found God was I was out of jail and I was about to get a 35-year sentence for something I did in prison, where, but luckily the DA dropped the charges. But I found out there was a God. He helped me out, and to this day. So from that time, I started hooking up with churches because I didn't know anything about how do you talk to God, how do you get close to God, how do you get forgiven. And I did, and I traveled around the world with all these top preachers. I've been all over the world, Africa, everywhere. And I got to know the top preachers of the day and chat with them and learn from them. And everybody in time since Jesus left, they're looking for his return. And in this return is this story of this Antichrist. And this guy, 666, if you never know the number of a man, you can figure out who he is. Well, everybody down that I know has been looking for this guy. And they're trying to figure out who he is. Oh, maybe some people were saying it's Obama. He got real popular, but Obama can't handle finances like Trump or the Antichrist, right? He was good speaker. Everybody in the world loved him, but he didn't have all the qualities of the person that we've all been looking for. Oh, maybe it's the King of England. Maybe it's somebody in Rome, Nobody knows because it doesn't say who, where, what he looks like. It just gives a description of a man. He will have these qualities. Now for me, it was like, okay, I really didn't care. I didn't feel like we were in the end until a few years ago when the constellations lined up. The exact constellation in Revelation 19 lined up. And then I started looking into them like, what? I found out that last time it lined up was when Jesus was coming on the earth, and it didn't line up since. And it lined up September 17th again. And September 17th, 2017, it lined up. And now here it is lining up again, right? For this third time in all time. And you can go on this computer program where you can roll the constellations and everything all back, the calendars, and you can go forward and backwards and all that, and it'll show you the alignments. Well, it only lines up those times. And so I know we're here. So then now for me, it's like, okay, we're here. I can feel it. People are feeling it. People are talking about it. Where's this guy that has these qualities? He has to be known because everybody in the whole world is going to be chanting his name and wanting them to solve their problems. Who in the world is even saying that he's running on peace and no wars? No wars, right? Who in the world has the financial chops to bring countries to their knees, building or destroying financially? Who is even saying he could do that right now today? And if there is a man on earth that could do it, where is he and how come we don't know about him besides that guy? If you see what I mean.
So it might be, you're speculating it might be him.
Right.
It might not be him because no one knows.
Right.
Given that, when does the Bible indicate, apparently through Revelation, when will we know? When will we have an inkling? What from now, and this is a perfect topic, one of the reasons I wanted to do it on Halloween is This is a day that others feel, other people use it for gathering candy, and it's fun. You put on a costume, etc. But there's a significance to Halloween. Once we get past it, what's next? We're all feeling unsettled. I am. I'll admit it. Apparently, no one wants to call in, or I don't have enough people watching. That's okay too. But what do we have next on the horizon? And I'm not talking about the election. I'm talking about that's part of it.
Well,
there's more.
There's one thing left. And then after this is when that man will be revealed to the world. And that's the rapture. That's the only thing left. All the wars that are happening in Israel, those are all written about. Israel was supposed to be in a certain kind of war. They were supposed to attack Israel. Well, that happened October
7th last year.
Yeah, that's right. So that happened. And they're still in that war. Now, this man, whoever this man is, when the rapture happens and he's allowed to start his one world dictatorship, he's going to be a king of the world. Okay. Not just the United States, not just Israel, not just he's going to be the king of the world eventually.
So this is a perfect opportunity for people to say, oh my God, it's going to be Trump because he said he wants to be a dictator. So this proves everything we've said about Trump. He's evil. He's Hitler. He wants to be a dictator. My God, it's going to be him.
It could. But only the rapture will happen. And then the technology starts. It's going to have a one world government. Everybody heard the mark of the beast or something like that. And everybody's like, well, they've speculated all through time. What could that look like? What could this mark of the beast, this one world government that can control you? What could it look like? Well, we have Starlink. And then we have this other thing. I can't remember what it's called. It's something Link. And it's all Elon Musk. And he puts a thing in your brain or something in your hand, right? And they are going to link with these satellites. And they'll be able to track you. They'll be able to change your thoughts. They're going to do all this stuff with this thing, which will bring in, you won't even need money or a card, or you could walk in the store and pick stuff up. And when you walk out, it will cash it out of your money or your whatever it is we're using for currency. But you won't even need to. You could swipe your hand over stuff, but it will, satellite technology, be able to track anyone in the world with this. And anyone that doesn't take that will have their head cut off, because they won't. That is the beast system, what they call the beast system. So we're like right there. Everything that we need to have to be in order to go into these times that I'm talking about, it's there. 5 years ago, it wasn't. 6 years ago, it wasn't. But here today, we could step into that right now. It's all there.
We got about 3 more minutes before the end of the show. Alan Thomas, thank you for being here tonight.
It was great.
Well, we're not exactly wrapping up just yet, but in the, say, roughly 3 minutes or so that we have, what's next? What do you think is going to happen? Donald John Trump, maybe. Donald John Trump, maybe not. No one knows except God. This is by way of reference of Revelation in the Bible, is what you're indicating. Mm-hmm. So timelines, no one really knows for sure.
Well, when you start talking about this, that there's in the last 3 years, and especially in the last year or two, if you go on YouTube and you type in rapture, thousands of YouTube videos will come up with people that have been predicting the rapture on certain days, and they have rapture watches. Okay. I mean, everybody is feeling it, like you said. But when you talk to people that don't believe anything and they want to poo-poo it, there's a scripture that says nobody knows the day or the hour, right? And it looks foolish to pick a day and have a rapture watch, but that's how it feels to everyone. So they are picking days. I don't know, but I can tell you, I feel like it could be any day, right? That's when I feel like it could be any day. I don't think we got no year left. I don't think. I'll tell you that much.
So people like myself who are not biblical scholars in the slightest, people are indicating, or people are thinking, myself possibly included, that the rapture includes the decision in terms of who stays, who goes, who lives, who dies. Is that accurate?
What it does is it sets into motion the end of the last day and setting up the kingdom of God in the seventh day. But nothing can be left on the earth of this kingdom. It has to be destroyed. And when you go into the seventh day, it says when the people will be taking weapons of mass destruction and destruction, weapons of war, and pounding them into plowshares. There'll be no more war. There'll be no more sickness. But only nothing can remain of this. So the people that believe Jesus walked on the earth, it doesn't say that you got to do anything. You just got to believe and then talk to them. Say, hey, man, I'm a sinner. Admit it. I admit it. And I admit you walked on the earth. That's good enough to get you in the rapture. But if you're going to sit back and say, it's all bullshit, then you're not going anywhere. You're going to stay. Then they're going to say, hey, you swear you're going to worship Satan, and you're going to take the mark of him, or you're going to have your head cut off. So just by not worshiping Satan, you're going to wind up dead. But when you die immediately, Jesus said he'd take the sting of death away. So you're not going to feel the sting of death, but to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. So like soon as your head's cut off and you won't feel any pain, bam, you're with the Lord.
Is it too easy to summarize and say something similar to, this is just another Noah's Ark? We're going to wipe things off the planet and we're going to start all over again because apparently we're not deserving of continuing. We're going to separate the wheat from the chaff, and then Jesus will return. We'll have a new world, and it'll be something similar to, man, try not to screw it up again like you did the first. How entirely wrong am I, Alan Thomas?
Well, at the end of the Revelation book, it talks about this seventh year where he sets up a kingdom. The people that get raptured and the people that were alive and then died, and everybody's going to get the body that Adam and Eve lost. Okay, they were created to be to never die. They're going to be immortal. We lost that, and he made us mortal. So then the body was going to die. Okay, so they lived 1,000 years, and then over the time, now we're down to 70 years. But so when the rapture happens, because when he died on the cross and he gave up his blood, and he was the final sacrifice of all the sacrifices they did to God, he was the final one, and they haven't had a sacrifice in the temple. They will have another one in the 7 years, but he was the final one. You accept that he is the final one. You get raptured. You immediately get your immortal body. You get the same kind of body that he got when he died, laid in the tomb 3 days. Then he took his body. It changed to an immortal body. He went to heaven. So all the people that were dead in Christ before, right, before the people that died before, they will get their immortal body first. Then the ones that get resurrected will change to an immortal body. And then they will have a 7-year feast in heaven, a wedding party, or, a party, while all hell breaks loose on earth. And what it is it takes whatever God presence is on the earth is going to be taken from the earth. And then whatever happens. Okay, then he comes back, he puts his feet on the ground, and then he sets up his kingdom, and he starts mankind over for 1,000 years on the Sabbath. And everything's good, but there will be humans that don't have the immortal body left. Not very many. It might be like what you say, like 7, whatever, not very many. But over 1,000 years, they will increase into a large population. And at the end of that, he says at the end of the 7th year, he will let the devil out. He's going to lock up the devil for that 7,000. He's going to let him out and let him tempt the people that never knew him, never were tempted, for a short time. And it'll come to the end of the 7,000th year. I don't know how long a short time is to God. And then he will destroy the devil, destroy everybody that followed the devil. There will be nothing left of them. You're not going to be in hell rotting forever, burning or whatever. You are going to be gone. Everyone, the devil, the demons, everything gone. And then he's going to destroy the earth and the heavens completely, because it also is corrupt, and recreate it. And then after that, I have no idea. He says, and everybody will go into immortality, eternity, forever with God, forever without all the evil, forever, 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 right? But who knows if there's more to the story or another book or more chapters, I don't know. I only know the first 7 and partial 8.
Folks, that was Alan Thomas. He's going to be here. He's going to be staying here for another week here in my little slice of a free state. Alan, thank you ever so kindly for being here. Oh, it's a great state. Good.
Went to the gun shop with BZ. So far, the best time I had, except for being in the studio.
Well, thank you so kindly. Alan Thomas will be back. I want to remind everybody again of this. Myself and Sean and Jersey Joe are going to have a show on Monday where we're going to emphasize again, get out and vote. And one final emphasis, emphatically, is Tuesday night. We're going to have coverage, election night coverage right here at shrmedia.com, right here on Rumble, on the SHR Media YouTube channel, X, Twitch, and any place that cool podcasts like this can be found. But we're going live, obviously, because it's election day. Alan Thomas, thank you so kindly for being here. And as per normal, I say something similar to this.
Bye, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to the Bloviating Zeppelins. That's me. BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here on Rumble on the SHR Media Group at shrmedia.com and the SHR Media YouTube channel. And thanks for watching. Thanks to Alan Thomas for being here. I am, in fact, your conservative Sherpa. And as I give thanks, I say promotional consideration is by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works, also by Shure and Electro Voice microphones. To Arrakis boards, I use one. Also to Pratt & Whitney engines featuring thrust. You can trust. And as per normal, after the show, I will be consorting with my KC-135 Kettle One refueling team. You can make bank on that. So, thanks to everybody listening live. Thanks to everybody listening in podcast. I appreciate the time that you take to be here, because I just somehow managed to chew up 2 hours, potentially 2 hours of your life. Thank you for doing that. Come back Monday, Tuesday, shrmedia.com. God bless everybody. Thank you. Take care. Be safe.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben. Good night, everyone.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep.
What's everybody doing? Good night.
Good night,
Sherpa.
Good night, and good luck.